I probably first talked about it in a meeting with Father a couple months ago. Not so much of when and if, but my desire to maybe have D-Rock or Huss replace me at some point. And obviously D-Rock gets the Indiana job, so he's kind of out. So, but I talked to Marcus about it around the Big East tournament, and fortunately he and Father were on board with it and helped make it happen. So it's just a reality in this day and age. If a coach gets fired, if a coach retires, the program gets decimated. D-Rock's example of the Indiana job's a pretty good job, and 4 days after taking the job, he didn't have anybody on his roster. My guess is maybe his son was even questioning if it was a good idea. So when the time comes, I don't want this to happen to this program. I've invested too much in it, and it means too much to this community. And if we could figure out a way to get one of our own back here, it seemed like a no-brainer to me.
What was the importance of doing that now before Allen got a situation like D-Rock?
Well, exactly. Timing's everything, and he ends up at a high major job. It's hard to probably pull him out of there, and you'll have to ask Al. My guess is there's probably not another place in the country he would have agreed to this. It certainly shows, I think, how much Al cares about this place and how much it means to him that he would come back and be my associate head coach until I decide that that's it.
When you decide that that's it, is it going to be spur of the moment thing? You're going to give it like some lead time, runway? How much runway are you going to give that decision?
Not very much.
Okay.
No, it's just whenever. Whenever I just feel like I don't have it anymore. And there's frustrating parts of the job, and I think we all know what they are. The world has changed. It's a different world than the one that I entered 36 years ago, and obviously there's been a lot of changes during those 3 decades plus, but probably not to the level that we're dealing with now. And it's just, but as long as we can continue to recruit the right kind of people, and I think we've been able to accomplish that again with this incoming class to go with the returners, then being in here and doing this is what I love to do. That part of it to me is the fun part.
So you haven't said 1 year, 2 years. It could be.
I have not.
Yeah,
No, I have not.
Okay.
No.
Athletes usually know because they say the body tells them. Would there be anything that tells you?
Wait till you turn 60 and ask me that question again. My body's starting to tell me some stuff. I don't know. There's other things I want to do at some point, and that time obviously isn't now. But this has been a huge part of my life, and frankly, the longest I was ever anywhere was 6 years at Wayne State, and now I'm going on 16 at Creighton. So, this has become my home, our home, and it's a wonderful community. And like I said, this program's just really important to me, and the success of it after I'm done is as important as it is to me right now.
What have you seen from Al, both with his time with you and then now the last couple of years at High Point that show that he's very experienced guy?
I've always thought you need to hire people that are smarter than you, and with me that's not that difficult actually. But he's one of the more intelligent people I've ever been around, and honestly, our readiness with the NIL when it hit was all due to him. He had me prepared for that. He had steps ready to put into place. That first year when Nemhart and those guys were freshmen, we did a little deal and I think gave him a $25,000 check or something, and they thought they died and went to heaven. So, he was on the forefront of that. He's an outside the box thinker. He's one of the best offensive minds I've ever been around, and I think everyone saw what he's capable of when he went to High Point. He's a terrific, well-rounded head coach, and he's going to be very successful for a long, long time.
What was the reaction of the players when told them about this one?
Yeah, I just, we basically did it over Zoom because I can't remember where I was at the time because we went back and forth quite a bit before we were finally able to get it done. But, they know I'm here every day until I decide I'm not. And, the good news is that, Al's going to have the opportunity to develop relationships with our current roster and the guys that are coming in next year over the course of the next season or two, and then he can take it from there when the time comes.
Is it a sell? Do you have to sell, Alan? Because this a unique situation going from head
Yeah,
coach?
yeah, very unique, and obviously he had a ton of success there, and had a loaded roster again for next season. But this is still home for him, and it's Katie spent most of her life here as well. So for them to come back, and as I told him as we went through it, you take new jobs and everybody sells you the positive of those jobs, but until you get there and you get in the weeds, you don't find out what the challenges are. And the positive for him, in my mind, is that he knows exactly what he's getting with this job. I would argue it's even in a better place than it was a couple years ago, because our NIL has improved, and I think we're well prepared for revenue sharing as we move forward. So he understands the challenges of this job and coming into it, and you can attack that from day one.
Not a knock on who you had before, but how nice will it be to have Allen as a sounding board, to have like two other coaches going on this?
Yeah, it's great, and it was great when he was here, and I certainly use Coach Miller in that regard as well. But Al had a ton of responsibility when he was here before with the offense. He'll have that and then some. Moving into next year, and with Mitch kind of as a sidekick on that side of the basketball. So, but he's ran his own program now, so his ability to kind of help me with all the rest of it is in a better place than it's ever been. So it's great to have him back, and it'll when the time comes, it'll make me feel pretty good and very proud that he's the one that's going to take over.
What do you hope to impart on Al in this time period about what this program is about, what you want to see moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't need much from me. Let's be honest. He's his tenure as an assistant coach here, and then taking over a program that really hadn't had a lot of success at High Point and flipping it in a hurry, I think speaks to his ability level. So, I'll learn from him as much as he'll learn from me.
Did you think this was a possibility when he was here previously, that he would one day come back in this role?
Yeah, I mean, I always hope one of those guys, and I've had a lot of great assistants that have gone on. Steve Lutz is at Oklahoma State, does a terrific job, but D-Rock was here 20 years, so this was home, and Al played here and was here as an assistant. So those two guys had probably more of a connection to the place organically than anybody else that came and worked for me. And in my mind, I think any head coach would love to see that happen when the time comes. You have one of your own take over for you, and in this case, it's not just one of my own; it's one of Creighton's own. He got his degree from here, and I think he'll tell you this place is home to him.
You've probably learned so much throughout your coaching career. It's not always going to be sunshine for Allen here. So to get him through maybe some tough times, what's maybe something that you've learned throughout your coaching career during down times that's helped you get through?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's your support system and the people that you're around every day, and I've been fortunate to surround myself with a great coaching staff and support staff. Murph's been with me the whole time here. Lou's been here all but 1 year. John McHugh's all but 1 year. So guys that have worked next to me every single day for 15, 16 years. When times are tough, you lean on each other a little bit, and I think Al understands that. And it's not like when I decide to be done, I'm going anywhere. I'll give him advice just like you guys give him advice when I'm done.
Hey, ask about portal guys. The pieces that you've added, what are you most pleased with?
I think we've been able to find the right kind of people again. We've been doing this long enough, and I think our program now is. I think nationally, I think everybody used to think we shot a bunch of threes, and that was kind of our deal. And I think as we have evolved, I think people have understood that it's a program really based on unselfishness and guys playing for each other. So when you bring a young person in, they know that going in, like this is how we're going to play. So a selfish person really isn't going to be attracted to our program. It's going to be someone that values and enjoys playing that brand of basketball, and I think we've accomplished that with our two freshmen in Hudson and Alexis, and then the 5 transfers. They all get it. They all understand it. They want to grow. They want to get better, but they're also excited about being part of this group and this culture.
Matt, how much did your short runway play a factor in how aggressive you guys were in the portal and building those pieces?
Nothing. I mean, I don't think that had anything to do with it. We have this 17,000 strong on the wall. Those 17,000 people don't like to lose much, and neither do I. So we had to put a good product on the floor, and we've been to 5 won a game in 5 straight NCAA tournaments, and our goal is to get back there and continue to push to get into that second weekend and beyond. So we had to have a talented group to do that, to go with the guys that we have returning, and I really think we've accomplished that.
You talked about finding unselfish players. Is that tougher, or how do you go about diagnosing that speed dating in the transfer portal?
Yeah, I mean, they're out there. I mean, Owen and Josh, because Coach McCaffrey was let go, they were able to enter the portal a little earlier, and we were able to have some conversations. I think the day the portal opened, I was able to meet with both of them, so because they were already in there. But I've watched them play, and I understand. Iowa offensively plays a very unselfish brand of basketball. So from that standpoint, it was good. And then as you look down the rest of the roster, whether it's Blake Harper, Nick Graves, Austin Schwartz. Austin didn't play quite as much and was more in a role where he was asked to shoot the basketball. But Nick and Blake both have great assist numbers. Their ability to share the basketball and move the basketball was really good. And like I said, I think the freshmen fit into that as well.
It's been like going through this offseason with the kind of house settlement hanging over and not finalized yet, and not kind of knowing 100% what the rules are.
Yeah, you recruit a team and then you figure out how to pay for them. That's kind of that's kind of the way it is. Yeah. So we'll be passing the hat at the end of this interview. Actually, no, it's a different world. Obviously, it's a crazy world, but we're, like I said, Coach Huss got us off to the right path 4 years ago when this all started, and fortunately the community's been incredibly supportive, and the fact that it's coming in-house now, and the donations now can become tax deductible because it's a revenue share through the university. I'm hopeful that's going to make it a little bit easier.
The fact that Creighton doesn't have football, and you guys mentioned the ability to make this, obviously you still have to raise the money. That puts you guys in a strong position, not just you, but Big East.
It can. Now, on the other side of that, we don't have the revenue. We don't have that TV revenue that the football schools have at their disposal. So, can we get it? Yes, but we have to get it. And, there's only so many ways you can do that. You can raise ticket prices and J-backer increases, and we've had to do some of that in order for us to keep up with the people that we're competing against. And then you go out and you try to raise money. There's always been reasons you've had to raise money to have a successful program, and certainly our move from the Valley to the Big East required really an increase in funding for us to be successful at the level we're competing against. And now you've got some teams in our league that are spending an awful lot of money on their rosters, and we're not going to get to that. But we have to be somewhere in the middle of our league, upper middle, if we want to continue to be a top 25 level team. And I'm committed to doing everything I can to make sure that happens.
Two more. Talk about the football situation on the radio. Is there any more you can say about the process there?
No, it's an ongoing thing, and now it's kind of between Fedor and his family and their representation in the NCAA. We're kind of out of it at this point in time, but he's still fighting. I know that, and we're still supporting that fight.
That is it comforting knowing that you already have the succession plan in place for whatever that is?
Very much so. It would have been, when the time came, it would have been very difficult to walk away not knowing what was going to happen to the program. And having said all that, Marcus and Father, they would have hired a great person. But having the person that I think bleeds Creighton ready to go in that position makes me feel pretty good. And and obviously when I'm done, I'll do everything I can to try to help him succeed and put him in a position that he continue to achieve this same success that we have and then some, which I think he's very capable of doing.